Game balance. Something that people swear they know up and down, but when you hear them actually talk about it, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Let's get into it and let's talk about what makes game balance game balance. Before we begin, I just want to give a quick shout out and apology to Contingent EXE. They're the ones who did the amazing fan art that you saw in the intro. Personally, if you said that was a 10-minute doodle, I would love to see what you put into your full dedicated work. If you have any fan art or fan work that you would like me to show on my channel, hit me up. I'll leave links in the description below on how you can contact me. I can't wait to see how you guys get creative and, most importantly, how you guys dive into imagination. I'm pretty sure most of you that are watching this video have played a video game or a game where you're competing against someone or competing against something. Now, it goes without saying that in these games, you usually have a method to be able to beat your opponent, and many of those come in win conditions or various strengths that you have that the opponent might not have. Even though you have a win condition that helps you overcome your opponent and win the game, they usually have an ability to do the same thing. They have a win condition themselves, or they have a way to counter said win condition that you may have. This is called game balancing, and I'm not just going to leave it at just this brief description of it. I'm going to actually go a little bit in depth about it. Now, as some of you may know, I haven't put up any videos for about 6 days. Reason being was, one, my birthday was yesterday, so everybody took up basically 3 days of my time just wanting to celebrate until the day came, and then celebrating even then. The second reason is because I'm still working up towards the 400 goal. If you may not know about that, you'll be able to find that trailer on my channel talking a little bit more about it. But nonetheless, while all this was happening, I still decided to record, and as I record, I look for new games. I ran into Heroes of the Storm, aka HOTS to some people that play it, and I decided to give it a shot. And while I'm playing, because I'm still learning, I decided to go and watch some guides to it. Now, this guy, I believe his name is FightinCowboy, I subscribe to him, I like his content. But a new champion's coming out called Varian, and this guy is basically a bruiser slash tank slash assassin, depending on how you want to build him. And with the way this guy was playing him, he was just basically building him to be a complete assassin, but this assassin had the ability to just heavily sustain HP and just block damage, etc. But there is a bug that he has where he cannot damage shielded enemies. Now, while he cannot damage shielded enemies, he does have an ability that allows him to completely just demolish anyone's shield that may have it, no matter how high their shielding is. It would pretty much just erase it, so that way he can just continue dealing damage to them. The only catch to this ability is you have to pick it in order to use it later on. And what I mean by picking, in League of Legends, you usually buy items or weapons or gear to be able to basically enhance your character. In Heroes of the Storm, you have this talent system where you actually click and you click on certain talents and they improve certain abilities or give you new passives or change the way certain things work. And when you pick a talent, you give up any other talents that are available in said list and move on, and you cannot go back and erase a talent to choose another one. Whatever you pick is permanent for the rest of that match. Now, FightinCowboy was actually picking a talent that wasn't this talent that I'm mentioning now in order to basically go on with this build that he was building. And let me just say this in short, this character is pretty freaking OP. Like I said, it has a lot of damage, it has a lot of survivability, it can heal itself while in battle, and it has really good engage. And then to top it all off after that, he has pretty low cooldowns. Now, before I continue on, I'm not the only person saying that this character is OP, and this is not the first time I've run into this character or seen this character play. I was actually watching a few streams where people were using him, and people in the chat were also saying the same thing. This character is OP, this and that, his cooldowns are low. So don't just think that I'm just saying this on my own accord. Now, to continue on with the story, this guy's getting some pretty good scores on this character, despite the way he's playing, getting like things like 15 kills, 15 assists, and 1 death, and just once again, just shredding entire teams. If you're curious to see those videos yourself, I'll leave links to basically all 3 of the videos below, so that way you can see for yourself and gauge how you feel about the character if you play the game or if you just want to see what I'm talking about. But anyway, in one of these videos, he was fighting against a character named Artanis, who was able to kind of grant himself a shield. But this character, as you know, wasn't going to be able to be damaged by Varian because of said bug. Now, I'm going to make this very clear. I do not condone bugs. I do not like when people exploit games or do this or do that just to basically cheat the system or to cheat other players out of a fair match. I don't like it whatsoever, even if my own team is doing it. Now, I didn't like the fact that this was a bug that Artanis was abusing. But when I stopped and thought about it, it was something that I would have liked to see just implemented into the game itself, not as a bug, but as a basic mechanic to Varian, that he couldn't be able to damage an enemy that was shielded unless he used said ability, which he obviously will get as he levels up. So in this video, this guy's getting mad because he just can't kill the Artanis because he chose not to use this talent and Artanis is whipping his ass. Now, I decided to leave a comment basically saying that I kind of like the fact that Varian couldn't damage shielded enemies because it gave him, in a sense, a hard counter or a way to be able to beat Varian. It gave other players a win condition versus him. And yes, I clearly stated that this was my own opinion. But the only reason why I actually stated this was because from what I've seen with Varian, I don't see that many weaknesses. I don't see that many ways of being able to counter him. And as you know, since he got pissed in the match, he decides to come to me and we start getting into it a little bit. We start, I guess you could say, debating. I was debating. He just decided to keep calling me an idiot, a moron, etc., etc. This is something that I'm used to. This is something that people that don't know how to debate or pick flaws in other people's arguments just do. They just belittle. They do whatever they can to basically just shame that person. I'm sorry, but that just doesn't work on me. The more you do that, the more ammunition you give me to be able to show how bad your ability to argue or debate is. But anyway, we're getting beside the point. Now, he's choosing not to pick the talent that would help him beat this Artanis. He's choosing to continue going on this way, even though he clearly knew from the beginning of the match that this guy picked an Artanis to counter him. Now, like I said in the beginning of the video, when you have a win condition, there's usually a way to counter it. Although this was a bug, this did give Varian a way of being able to be beaten. This gave him a way to give other players an out towards him. And if you play MOBAs, you know that many people tend to counter pick champions. If somebody sees you pick something, they will try to pick something that can help them beat you. And just in case if they don't manage to counter pick you, they will try to build their champions to be able to beat you. So if you're a tank, they'll try to use something that actually deals damage by percentage of that person's max HP. Or if you do magic, they will try to do things that will actually give them magic resistance, and vice versa. This is common knowledge in games, not just MOBAs, but any game that you play. When you know somebody's strength, you try to find a reason to be able to play against it. Now, to go into how balancing usually works, when a game is balanced or when there's balance in something, there isn't just one option to be able to beat things, but multiple options. And usually those options to be able to beat said things aren't just an option that just beats everything. Because if it's an option that just beats everything, it's no longer considered a weakness. A prime example of this, and I might be going away from video games when I say this, is imagine if everyone was weak to kryptonite and not just Superman. Would you really consider that a weakness to Superman if he gets weak by it? No, because everyone's weak to this. This is kind of common knowledge. But what makes this a specific weakness to Superman is the fact that it hurts him specifically. Now, when you see this done in video games, and this is done on purpose, this is their way of being able to balance things out. If you're a sniper or a long-range fighter, you tend to have a weakness to anything that comes close range. If you're a close-range fighter, you tend to have a weakness to anything that's long-range, and so forth. If you're in between, then you're not better than both. You're stronger than one, but weaker than another. But then what if two close-range fighters fight each other? How does one beat another? Maybe one has more DPS, maybe one has more health. But once again, these are just ways that you deal with those things. And if something has more health, then you find a means to be able to chomp down that health. This is when something else gains that upper hand on it. But when you see that there's an instance where the only way to beat one thing is that thing itself, that's a problem. In another video that he put up with Varian, or playing as Varian, when he wasn't fighting Artanis, he only received one death, like I mentioned before in that first KD that I mentioned, kill/death ratio. And the only time that he actually died was when he was fighting another Varian. Other than that, he just wasn't going to die, even if 3 people were on him, even if 4 people were on him, and so forth. That's a little too out of control. This is why people are saying that character's OP. This is what OP means, overpowered. It just means when You can basically pick something and it can pretty much stomp out whatever its competition is, no questions asked. And once again, in that very same video where he only died once, he flat out said it. He can beat the entire team minus one person. And then when he fought that one person, he pooped on that person too. That in and of itself is bad design. I'm not saying that Blizzard designed a bad character, but what most likely happened was when they built him, they had specific weaknesses in mind for him. But you have to remember, as a developer, you will see something that players won't see, and players don't usually play things the way that you would expect them to. This is why bugs are found. This is why things end up getting nerfed or rebalanced or buffed or whatever, because of the fact that people aren't going to play the game the way it's supposed to be played. Now, on top of that, if you're going to say that something like this is not broken, when you're saying yourself that it's very broken, and then when you finally get a clear counter to it that that's bad, then I'm sorry, but your logic is skewed. Your logic is skewed as fuck. Now, his argument or his point is that the main weakness that Varian has is if he gets stunned or CC'd, crowd control, basically blinded, or anything that would basically inhibit his movement or actions, that's his weakness. But once again, if everyone is weak to that, then that's not his weakness. That's just something that you do to everybody. Doesn't matter what champion you use in this game or in any game. If somebody stuns you or doesn't allow you to do any damage, of course they're going to outbeat you because you no longer do damage, but they do. So that's not a clear weakness, and I'm sorry, but I cannot accept that. But being able to have shield, that's not something that everybody can do. So that gives him a clear out. That gives a certain player a clear out, or certain players that can do it clear outs. That pretty much makes any support that can give players shields, or any players that can give themselves shields, a way to be able to beat him. And you also forget that there are 4 more people on your team. If you can't remove his shields or do damage to him, the other 4 people on your team can. So therefore, you would have them do the job of removing the shields for you, or stay around them so when you approach this champion, you're not alone and you're not screwed out of luck. I mean, by your logic, you're basically saying that just because I have a sword and the other person has a gun, they shouldn't be allowed to shoot me from a distance because that's unfair. I can't damage them. And moreover, you're saying that this isn't rock, paper, scissors, but where do you think game balance originally came from? Rock, paper, scissors was one of the first games out, and it's not even a video game, but many games use that as a balancing model, or where they start out from modeling their balancing in their game. So don't try to excuse that or say, oh, this isn't rock, paper, scissors, so it can't be that way. I'm sorry, but if you don't understand how that kind of thing works, then what the fuck are you doing playing games? You can't just sit there and cry about a certain champion outdoing your champion, but yet your champion can completely demolish the other team. That's just not right. That just doesn't make any sense at all. I'm sorry, FightinCowboy, I do like your content, but no offense, if you think that this is okay in games, then you need to get your head checked. You need to pretty much just stop playing and reevaluate how you're approaching these games to begin with. I understand everybody wants to win, but you can't win if you can't lose. You can't really fully understand the sense of victory if you don't have that fear of defeat. It's just impossible. It's kind of like that boxer who goes into a fight and has never been punched in their life, and all they do is win their matches. But what do you think happens the moment they receive a punch? They're gonna be on the floor crying like a little bitch. That's exactly what's gonna happen. And that's basically what's happening here. You weren't getting stopped by anything. That one problem comes your way and you're just bitching to high hell. No offense, but just learn to just play against it or play around it, or just not play the character. I mean, I'm not trying to shit on your content or anything, because once again, I can't stress this enough, I do like your content, but you're probably the worst person to be putting out guides if you just don't want to accept when something is a weakness, or when something is, you know, a clear way of beating something. Even when I've done my Anka videos, even when I've done my videos on talking about certain characters and whatnot, I will make it very known what clearly beats certain characters, or what's an easy way to just be able to cheese out a certain character if they're giving you a problem. You have to be able to accept the same thing when you're doing your guides, or when you're playing and it happens to you. That's just the way games are. You don't win all your matches. But anyway, I'm gonna end it here. I didn't want this to take forever, but you know, I just needed to get this off my chest and kind of put this out there, because no offense, I think he's gonna delete the whole comment section, or the comment that I left, and the whole debate and whatnot. And if he did, then at least it's here on video form. He can't shut me out no matter how hard he tries. That's just life. But anyway, for today's like goal, we'll aim for 10 likes. Each like equals 1 shield. Let's shield the fuck out of Varian. But if you agree with me, yeah, just do that. And if you disagree with me, leave a comment below and dislike. And most likely, if Fighting Cowboy sees this, he's gonna be leaving, you know, a lot of dislikes, this and that, and whatever. I can give less of a shit. But yeah, I'm gonna get back to my real video, get that up. I don't want it taking forever. And I just want to also apologize for my greatest fear video not coming out. Well, me and Mono were talking about it, and after a while, we realized that it wasn't really worth putting up, so to speak, and we just decided not to do it. But yeah, my next video should be coming out soon. If anything, be safe, have fun, dive into imagination. Catch you guys later.